Good morning, everybody. I'm the Gulf Coast Granny, and welcome back to my kitchen table. And hello, March. We are already in March, and it's pretty amazing because I woke up the other morning to get my son ready for school, and by the time the bus came at 6:20, it was already daylight outside. And tonight we were working on building our chicken coop for the new chickens, and it was 5:45 and still daylight outside. So that makes me extremely happy. The more daylight I have, the better I feel. So this morning, I'm gonna make some tea. I'm a tea drinker. I love any kind of tea. Sweet tea, iced tea, hot tea, and this morning we're doing hot tea. And I'm doing something new that I've never done before, and I thought I'd try it out with you guys. This is jasmine tea, but it makes a flower, and I'm very excited. I just got to turn on my teapot. We'll sit here and chat while the water's heating up. So what you do is you open this tea ball. It's in a sealed package. You can see on the back what it is. And you take this tea ball and you put it in your little teapot. Now mine's little. Some people have bigger ones. This is great for 2 cups of tea. One thing I learned about this blooming tea is that you can steep it 2 to 3 times depending on the strength that you like it. So they're reusable, which is amazing. To me anyway. This little teapot also has a infuser with it, and it fits down in here. But I'm not going to use it with the blooming tea because it'll get in the way of the flower. I'm just going to take my saucer and stick it on the top to keep the heat in. Anyhow, so how many of you guys are worried about the coronavirus? You know, I've thought about this for a week now, and I've heard all the doom and gloom on the news. And I have to say that I'm a little concerned. But am I petrified, or am I panicked, or am I worried? No. And I'm not going to tell you how to feel because, you know, you've got your own way of dealing with things. But I think the best way to deal with the situation is to be prepared. I've bought Zicam for my family. They were out of masks at the Walgreens down the street. I was absolutely surprised at that because this small town in Mississippi, I wouldn't think that they'd be out of them, but they are. And so what I did was I ordered some of those, I don't even know what they're called, but you put them over your head and you pull them up around you. It's almost like a bandana, but it's like an infinity scarf as well, and you just pull it up. Well, I bought those just in case, and I know that it won't protect from a viral infection. Viruses are so small that they can get through the fiber of a piece of cloth. But what it will do is possibly keep the kids from being in direct contact with somebody who's sneezing and coughing and their parents aren't smart enough to keep them home from school, which happens a lot. And I know, you know, some parents, they work and they don't have sick days, and I get that. I do, I get it. But for crying out loud, it makes me crazy when my kids come home with some bug when, you know, a few days before that, they tell me that so-and-so was sick in class and threw up all over the place, or they were coughing through the whole class and spraying germs everywhere and wasn't covering their mouth. And because, you know, kids are kids and they don't always think about stuff like that. So what I've been doing is washing our hands a lot. I got a whole bunch of hand sanitizer. I've been telling the kids that, you know, touching your eyes and your nose or your mouth, touching your face at all is probably a bad idea until this thing's over with. I make sure that they wash their hands. I remind them constantly so that they'll be in the habit of it if something does break out here. One thing I have decided, though, is that if even one case of it is found in my little town in Mississippi, my children won't go to school until it's over with. I'm not going to wait around for the city government or the school board to close the schools to protect my child. And I don't know what the repercussions of that decision are going to be, but I'm 100% willing to accept that responsibility. I don't think that this virus is as dangerous to most healthy people. I think it's kind of like the flu. In fact, there's more deaths from the flu than there have been from this virus. I read something a little while ago that said the numbers. The mortality rate was significantly higher with the flu than with this virus. And I've thought about too, what happens if they quarantine the whole city and they don't let people go to the grocery store. So I've bought a little extra groceries for a few weeks, and I've kind of filled up my freezer and gotten a few non-perishable things because I know my kids and they're very picky and they might not eat. Who knows? But I'm also stocking up for hurricane season because that starts in 3 months. And the sooner I do it, the better off I feel about being prepared. And that's one thing about living in a hurricane zone is you kind of know how to prepare for disasters and crises because you're used to it every year. We buy water, we buy batteries, we make sure there's plenty of food that can be cooked without electricity. We make sure we have charcoal for the grill outside, and we make sure that we're prepared. Now, we wouldn't stay here for a hurricane, but we would come home for the aftermath. Poppy can't miss all of that work. He has to be here. He's a communications technician, and he would have to be here to help get the communications for the police department and emergency services back into working order. So we wouldn't be able to be gone very long in the event of a hurricane emergency. Oh, look at there. My water's finished. So, let's go ahead. Ooh, let me move that out of the way. We're going to pour this right onto that little ball there. I love this electric tea kettle. This thing's amazing. Oh, I wish you could smell that tea. So anyhow, my point is that I think it just, it makes good sense to prepare for possibly a worst case scenario, which to me would be quarantine. I think it's a good idea to protect yourself physically the best way you know how, washing your hands, maybe get some Zicam. I don't know if it'll work or not, but coronaviruses are normally cold-like viruses. And just keep your ears open and watch and see what happens. I don't think the whole world needs to panic over it. I think that the news channels are making a whole lot of money off of sensationalizing this, just like they do everything else. I believe in my heart that one of the reasons so many people suffered during Hurricane Katrina down in this area is because every single time that there's a storm in that ocean out there, or the Gulf, they hype it up. They say how disastrous it's going to be, that the world is ending, the sky is falling, and Chicken Little needs to run. Well, of course, the storms come. They end up being nothing more severe than any thunderstorm we've ever had around here. And people get tired of it, and they just start tuning it out. And I believe that that's what happened with Katrina. People were tired of the hype. They were tired of the channels saying, you better leave, you better leave, you better leave. And then nothing happened. And it costs money to leave. These families, a lot of the families on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, are not in a position to be able to shell out $1,000 every time there's a hurricane in the Gulf. And that's about what it would cost. Got to stay in a hotel, got to drive and spend your gas money. In fact, I had a girlfriend that lived in Gulfport during Katrina. And I remember the night before it hit, I saw her online. I was living in Virginia at the time. And I instant messaged her and I said, "Where are you?" She said, "I'm at home." I said, "Honey, you need to leave. There's a Category 5 hurricane about to land on your head." And she said to me, "I don't have the gas money to leave." And that woman had 6 children in that house at the time. When they finally were able to get back in touch with me, I believe it was some 4 months later. I didn't hear from her for 4 months. She told me that when they woke up after the hurricane, there was a hole the size of a car in their roof. So, I'm just saying, take what you hear on the news sort of with a grain of salt. Understand that the coronavirus, yes, it's going to be a problem for the country. It's going to spread. I don't think there's really any way around it. It might even mutate. It might hit a lot of people. Some may die. But I think for the majority of healthy individuals, it will be like having the flu and then you'll recover. Let's see what our flower's doing. Well, it's bloomed, but it's floating. Let me see if I can fix this. I want y'all to look at this. Now, isn't that just beautiful? I just love that. I love the look of it. I love the way it smells. It is floating a little bit in my picture here, but I just think it's special. You know, sometimes I think it's nice to treat yourself every now and then to something a little bit special. And that's what I feel about this blooming flower tea. It's from Tea Bloom. It says Flowering Jasmine, 12 green tea flowers, and about 36 steeps. There's 6 different varieties. Now, they're all jasmine tea, but they're different shapes of the flowers, different arrangements, so to speak. And this morning, I'm up before everybody else. I'm looking forward to painting my chicken coop today and getting the roof on it. And I thought I'd just treat myself to something a little special and have some quiet time and talk to y'all about this concerning coronavirus. Leave me a comment below if you're concerned about it, and tell me what your plans are to deal with the situation if it comes to your town. I'm going to put a little bit of honey in this. So today, we're going to take care of a few things. My main concern is getting my chickens out of their aquarium and into their chicken coop. So we worked on the chicken coop yesterday and got it pretty much framed out. And I'll put some pictures in right here. So today the plan is to paint it and put the roof on, put the hinges on the door, go to Tractor Supply, get some bedding, and put them in it for tonight. I'm really, really excited about that. Y'all, this tea is delicious. If you want to purchase some for yourself, I'll put a link in the comments below. I think you'll enjoy it if you like tea. The flavor of this is very floral. It's not loaded with caffeine, but it does have a little bit. But it's just a very nice, delicate tea that I think all of you will enjoy if you enjoy tea. Why don't I show you guys, give you guys an update on my tomatoes. Okay, here they are. I have 14 left out of the original 18. They're a little bit leggy, and it's because this is the only source of light I have for them. There's no windows in here. Well, there's the front window, but the light doesn't get all the way over here. And I've got one back there in the back trying to turn yellow on me. See that one? And the reason for that is because I forgot to punch a hole in the bottom of it and it got a little bit too wet. But I want to show you the roots. Look at the roots on that tomato. It's just amazing how quickly that these things can grow. Let's see, this one's, that one's got roots in the bottom down here, all the way to the top. And look at those roots. Those are some healthy roots. And I'm so proud of them. Now this week I'm going to have to harden those tomatoes off. And if you don't know what harden them off means, it just means acclimating them to the climate outdoors. Had a tea leaf fall in my tea. What you do is you take them outside and you start off with a few hours a day, maybe in the shade. And then as the week progresses, you move them out into the sun and you increase the length of time that they're out there. And what that does is just get them used to the climate outdoors instead of where they're used to being inside. And it helps to prevent them being shocked when you put them in the ground. Is it 100% necessary? I'm not sure. But it's recommended, and I've always done it. Now, some people recommend that you do it for longer periods of time than what I do. I think I've heard up to 2 weeks, but I only do it for a week because my climate is fairly mild here. I think we've had our last freeze, and if not, we won't get another one after next weekend. Today, I'm planning to finish up my chicken coop. We were going to try to build the garden beds today, but I'll be surprised if we get even one completed. I don't believe we're going to have enough time. And if we do, it'll just be one, and then we'll have to wait and do the other 2 next weekend. And I'm only going to have 3 beds total. They're going to be like in a U shape. And I'll put my tomatoes where I think they can grow the best, and then the rest of my vegetables throughout. Most of my vegetables I start from seed in the ground. I do not usually start seeds inside for anything except for tomatoes. And of course the only reason I do that is because they have to have a head start in order to make it through the summer. Another thing I want to talk about is how absolutely grateful I am to all of my subscribers and all of the people who comment on my videos and tell me that I have added something to your life. If it's a recipe that you enjoy, if it's a little kitchen tip that you enjoy, it makes me very happy to know that I can enrich somebody's life from this table right here, from this kitchen. It does me a whole lot of good. You know, I don't drive because I have double vision. I haven't driven in almost 20 years now. And it was a real shock to my system when I couldn't just get in the car and go when I wanted to. Now I have to depend on my husband or my daughters or my neighbors and friends to take me wherever I have to go. If it's out of the city I live anywhere around town I can ride my bike. I have, in fact, last Mother's Day, my husband bought me a tricycle because I have problems with my balance too. And so he bought me a tricycle and he put an electric motor on it for me. So now I can go downtown and get my hair cut without somebody holding my hand or escorting me, which is nice. It gave me a sense of freedom that I haven't had for a very long time, and it also kept me from feeling trapped, because I was starting to feel a little trapped. And I would go through periods over the years of feeling trapped, and then it would, it'd go away, and then it'd come back and then go away, and that's pretty normal, but I was just tired of feeling that way every now and then. So again, I don't get out of my house much anymore. I go for walks, but as far as going out and meeting people or talking to people, I don't get to do that very much anymore. And it's very nice to know that I can accomplish something from this kitchen. Something worthwhile. At least I feel like it's worthwhile. It makes me happy that I can enrich somebody's life other than the ones who live in my house. And that's the way I look at it when I get one of those positive comments and these compliments that people give me, and I feel like, wow, I've really reached someone and either helped them or reminded them of something that was special to them, or whatever it is that I'm talking about that day. So anyhow, I just wanted to let y'all know that I appreciate it. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the ability to use this platform to feel like I'm doing something other than wasting away in the house and feeling like I'm useful. And I want to thank everybody for that. Anyhow, I've got a busy day ahead of me between painting the chicken coop, taking care of this house, and I got to do laundry for the kids tomorrow. They have school. So I want everybody to have a great 1st of March. I know I'm going to. And leave me some comments below and tell me what you're going to do with your March, okay?